That's the sound of the sequencer on the Modulus 002. I'm here with Paul Maddox, who is the sort of driving force behind the synthesizer, the mad scientist, shall we say.
I like mad scientist, I can live with that.
So we saw Paul in the summer where, you know, we just had a preview of the synth. It wasn't voiced, there was some development underway. What's been happening since then?
Well, since then we've sold 50 of these around the world to many and varied people and some wonderful countries, and we've met some fascinating people as well during the process. We've grown our development team, so we're able to develop the software a lot quicker, and it's coming on a lot faster now as well. So we're issuing updates about once a week at the moment.
And how does that work?
Well, the updates is really simple. We do it via the internet. You go onto your synthesizer, you plug it into your network, and you check you've got an IP address, which you can see at the top here. You then go back, you press update, and you press the update button.
And then that just pulls it from a central server?
Downloads it from the internet, updates all the software, reboots itself, and you're off to go with the latest version.
Wow, okay. So since then also, they've had quite a lot of work done on the voicings, right? And we've got Ben Crossland, who you may know from Access Virus days.
That's right, yep.
He's been doing some voices, and we're going to talk to him. He's going to come in and show us what he's been doing with it.
Yep, that's it.
Okay, Ben, in you come. That sounds great.
You get my face then?
Are you making the synthesizer face when you do it?
No, I'm making
like
that was a stupid chord face actually.
I've not seen that one before. So, I mean, you've been working on patches for this. What, have you done a bank, 100 sounds, something like that?
Well, yeah, I've done more. I've collated, 100 of the best ones so far.
So when you approach a synthesizer like this, you know, what is it that kind of gets you started and gets you going?
Well, really, it's where the sound starts is the oscillators. They've got a very unique raw sound to them, which I really like. You've got a very wide selection of traditional analog waves like the saws and the pulse wave, but also a very well-selected bank of digital waves.
Right. Okay.
And there's some pretty neat features that conspire with that to make it a very flexible oscillator section indeed. You've got the subwave, you've got a sub-oscillator for each of the main oscillators, which defaults to pulse wave like most synthesizers do, I guess. But you can also, by pressing subwav, it slaves it to the wave.
Right, so you can, yes, that's right.
And I have to say that's my preferred mode actually. It just means it all integrates so well.
Yes, because the subwave then makes the subwave the same wave as that's right.
It,
I remember now.
And of course, actually, in many concepts of traditional instruments, it sort of makes sense. That in a way that you've got similar harmonics. Anyway, the other thing is the D-Res button, which I think if I'm right in saying what it does is it samples every other.
It lowers the resolution.
Yes. And it changes the timbre in a very interesting way, and it's also something you can even use in a performance context. You know, if you've got an arpeggiator running, you could sort of dip that in and out, and it just adds this nice different flavour to the sound. Moving on from that, in the mix section here, the pièce de résistance, in my opinion, is this drive knob. This one here, really, I mean, it should say something like magic on it, because that's. It's more like what it adds to the sound. It's just turn this knob, make everything sound fantastic.
So what's that? It's driving the sound harder?
Yes, it's an overdrive. Yes, right. It's a transistor overdrive, and it's got really great sort of character to it. It adds a lot of interesting harmonic content. And moving to the filter as well, has got some very unique, one particularly really unique feature to it, which is the slope parameter.
Oh, it moves through 4-pole to 1-pole.
Yeah, we've got a traditional 4-pole ladder filter. So let's turn slope down to 0.
Okay. And what mode are we in at the moment?
Okay, this is 4-pole.
Right.
And there you heard it move through a bandpass and up to a 1-pole, and it's still resonant, notice as well. a band pass, and then 4-pole again.
That's interesting. So constantly variable filter slope, effectively.
Yeah, and it's that kind of flexibility means you've got an enormous amount of customizable tweakability. You know, you just end up with traditional sounds, but you can also make them. Just got that scope that you often don't get.
And then obviously, you've been working on a bunch of sounds. I mean, maybe we could have a listen to a few of the things that you've been doing.
This one's called Aftertouch Bass.
Very sort of analog kind of vibe to that, yeah. And what are you in? You're in unison mode there, so presumably that's stacking up a few oscillators.
Yeah, we're only stacking 2 voices there, actually. I mean, obviously you can stack more.
Restraint.
Yeah. I have had to exercise a fair bit of restraint with some of these parameters, it has to be said. Yeah,
is it very just to kind of go everything massive?
Yeah, 12. 12 on the voices and drive 127. But yeah, there is plenty of restraint shown, I think. This is a nice pad here. So it does brutality as well as it does subtlety. Interesting to see where the slope is on that. You see there's not quite band pass. If you want it a bit warmer, take it down.
Yeah, it changes the characteristic enormously, isn't it?
Yeah.
And pads often work very well with sort of 1- and 2-pole filters, don't they? Because you just get that sort of
and it's also it's something that you can modulate as,
right.
in real time, or via the LFOs or Aftertouch or whatever.
Right, more.
Okay, I mean this is me so horny. There's a brass sound, so it's very kind of traditional analog brass. Yeah. So it does all that stuff very convincingly. And here's some. You can get big sort of trance type sounds out of it. Quite like this one as a choir sound. Sort of funky clav. Yeah, kid gloves. This is a nice sort of warm arpeggiator sound.
Oh, yeah.
It's just so.
Yeah, I know. So it's sort of very dreamy. It all sounds like it's got effects on it as well.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, this is a very important point to highlight. There is that a lot of the sounds do sound as though they have effects on them. I mean, there is a slot there for an effects board, which is to come. I'm kind of scared about that because it's how good can it get? Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So once that's in place, it's going to go off the scale completely, I think. There's a bit more of that in Aftertouch there.
Yeah.
It's got a very enticing, addictive sound to it. I mean, this is the thing I've spent kind of wasted a lot of time really when I'm supposed to be getting on with making sounds, just playing for hours.
And that's often I've often wondered about that as a kind of sound designer, because often your job is to explore the sound of it.
Yes.
But when you go, that's a patch.
Yes.
How can you do that? Because you can store snapshots and stuff in here as well.
Yes, and there's infinite snapshots you can choose, and it's just. It's a matter of taste ultimately, I guess. You just think, that suits my musical taste. I can play. It inspires me to play something. You test it up and down the keyboard to make sure it doesn't sound horrible at the top or too weak at the bottom or whatever. And this is a nice one, Emergent. This is using the oscillator sync and a negative envelope slope.
Interesting use of sync there. You just hear it kind of tailing away. Yeah.
Really nice arpeggiator patch, I think that. It's just got that, and again, this is something it does very well, is it kind of treads both paths. You can hear analog, you can hear digital in there.
Right.
And it blends the two very effectively, I think.
Again, Sounds like there's some effects going on in there, but it's just the release is allowing you to.
This is something a little bit more kind of ambient. And
Oh yeah, it sounds like it's got delays going on. Is that some sort of random?
yeah, it's just a little bit of random modulation on something or other, resonance. And made it a few weeks ago, I can't remember.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it's nice.
So where do you find, because some businesses excel at one thing or another. I mean, where do you find yourself being guided towards with the way that it is at the moment?
Fat basses just fall out of it, it's just almost too easy, really.
Right.
Also, I've made a lot of kind of funky patches, like that one I played earlier on, the kind of funky keyboard type clav patches. And warm pads.
You'd kind of expect that, wouldn't you? That's the one thing that, big analog polys.
It would be a little disappointing if it didn't do those, yes. Fairly wide palette.
So is there something sort of much more purely digital that you've been working on in here as well that's kind of got more of a digital flavour? Because, obviously the one thing about this is we've got analog elements to it, but the oscillators are essentially mathematically generated.
Yes, they are, yeah. This is actually, this is a good one for demonstrating the deres function, I think, is look. Yeah, there's it's related, but it's different, right?
Yes, definitely.
It's always
it's
always worth checking with every sound that you make, like with the digital character, you just check that particular parameter. And I think it will also be a great one to switch on and off via the animator as well. And also just listen to the different waveforms and. Res again.
It's interesting. It's lower resolution, but you're not hearing. There's not aliasing or anything. It's not like.
No, it just tends to add more top end harmonics actually. Yeah. So there's that kind of thing, which I guess I would class as a digital sound. Let's try one of these pads.
Yes, you can hear some of those really high harmonics.
One or two more like that actually. Let's see if I can find those for you. This is kind of. You can hear there's a digital character to that underlying, but the drive parameter is just giving it, something a bit more alive than that.
Sort of edge.
And actually, I think that's for me one of its greatest strengths is that it's not about it being purely digital. It's about taking the best of the digital waveform, but then really enhancing it with this analog overdrive and filter. This is another one I really like, is this lead sound.
Yeah, it's got that sounds more like a sort of band pass with a lot of resonance. Is that kind of roughly what's going on? A lot of drive there as well.
Let's have a look. Yeah, roughly band pass, very good.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's one of the face screws.
Yeah, you've got to make the face when you play that one.
Yeah.
I was making it.
There is one that I wanted to play earlier, which was Happy Accident, wasn't it? That's right, you were talking about some of the recent ones.
That's using the velocity to kind of really change the character of the sound as well, right?
Well, not correct this time, Nick.
Oh,
no.
Damn!
It's using the LFO in single mode with a random modulation to the wave. So you never quite know what you're going to get with it.
Oh, that's
It's always nice.
So just depending on the trigger, because of the randomness, it'll be whatever, and that's...
Yeah, and actually I'm playing a very simple chord.
But it sounds like you're
Sounds a
working
lot
much
more.
harder.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it's a lot more complicated.
So just call that "Make Me Look Good."
Yeah.
Well, Ben, that sounds fantastic. Is there anything else you want to show us before we get on to some of the other features with Luca?
Let me see if there's just a... I think there's one really nice ARP actually here that I want to show called Squeak.
So you inverting the filter on the...
Yeah, on the aftertouch, yeah.
It's very unusual, isn't it? That's great. Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it's got some real bite to it.
Okay, Ben, well, thank you very much for showing us those patches. Obviously, that's only a small selection of the... You've done 100, right?
Yeah.
Anywhere people can sort of keep an eye on patches as they come out? You're going to be
Yeah, sure. If you
them?
go to SoundCloud or to the Modulus website, actually, it links to the SoundCloud demos. I personally have done about 12 so far, and there's more in the pipeline. And there's also some older demos on there that they can check out. But yeah, they'll be coming thick and fast, I think.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Ben. Now we're going to get Luca in, who you may remember from last time. He took us through the basic features of the synthesizer. He's going to show us some of the stuff that's been implemented since last time we looked at it. Hey Luca, how's it going?
Cool, thanks.
Seems very much like the sequencer was running there.
This is our sequencer, and as you can see, we got on the sequencer panel 16 push dials. Each encoder has an LED, a blue or red LED. Basically, it's mirroring what happens on the screen. So the sequencer and
to make programming straightforward. Okay.
Yeah. So now you can see that the first row of this panel basically controls the step length for each step, and the second row controls the note. So as you can see, I can change the note on the first step here, or the step length.
Right.
This sequence has 16 steps, so basically now I'm showing from 9 to 16. Before I was showing from 1 to 8.
Okay. So how many rows can we have total?
Basically, we can have 12 notes or parameter rows, plus some like setup rows. So here you got the gate length and the velocity.
Yeah.
So now the two rows are controlling gate length and velocity. If I scroll down, I control, like before, step length and note. If I push a dial here, so in the first row with step length, basically the sequencer will skip those steps.
Right, so that's right.
So basically they're not included into the sequence.
Right, gotcha.
On the other hand, if I push an encoder here, basically I make that step silent.
Right. So you have a rest or a skip.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
exactly. And we can have also other, as I told you, note rows or parameter rows. So if I go to the setup page, parameters, basically here you can see that I have also a cutoff row, but I can add also another note row or another parameter row.
Right.
And I can control any parameter in the W2 if I want. So let's get back to the main page. If I scroll down, now I see the note row and the cutoff row, which was disabled. You see?
So you can switch them all on.
So now I switch on all the encoders for the 16 steps. You get the filter cutoff.
Right, so that's modulated.
Yeah.
And so essentially you've got 3 rows plus 12 rows.
Exactly.
So I noticed that there was also the ability to add another note track. How does that work?
Yeah, if you want, but I'll explain that in a minute. Before I want to show you that basically we can also add an arpeggiated section on the top of the sequencer. So now I'm going to switch to polyphonic mode. I'm going to start the sequencer. Go to the arpeggiator page. Now you can see that I can control the arpeggiator with the same knobs.
All right, okay.
You're gonna have the LEDs basically red, and here you can control the status of the arpeggiator, and here the step length, I put that in 1/32. So
so that just plays over the top?
Exactly.
Okay, right.
If we want to play chords with the sequencer,
Right.
where, as you were mentioning, basically we can add another note row. I'm gonna change patch. Slow down the tempo, and then load another sequence, because sequences and patches are completely individual.
Right, but they can be recalled with a patch, but they are separate.
This is a performance.
Right.
So patch plus sequence is a performance. Now I'm gonna load these sequence for this patch. So here you can see now both note rows.
Right, and then we can see that the
the
quite
LED
slow,
version.
so-
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so it's playing 2 notes.
Exactly. If you want, we can play just one note here by disabling the second row. So you can make very interesting sequences if you want.
I mean, with
very
this, you can
complex.
create this sort of like just constantly evolving pad sound that
And
you...
still I can play on top of it if I got polyphony.
Ah, right. Nice. So we've seen the sequencer and the arpeggiator, but there was the animator as
Yes,
well, right?
exactly.
What's that?
The animator is basically a sequencer for parameters, but it's note triggered.
Right, so each time you press a key,
It
the
starts.
sequence is instantiated.
Yeah, and each note has its own animation. So you can create very complex textures by playing different notes. And for each animation, you can control up to 12 parameters simultaneously. So
quite dense, bit of modulation.
Want. So here, the basic patch. If I go to the animation section, you can see the animator interface is basically the same as the sequencer. I can turn it on, and here is the filter modulation.
I can hear that it's actually per note, not so you'd have to play all the notes simultaneously for it to be in sync.
It's not the same. It's not global.
Right, gotcha.
And if you want, you can add another parameter. So setup page parameters, and here actually I already put waveform modulation.
So we can modulate the waveform.
Exactly.
Right.
But I disabled this row, so basically now I'm gonna put back in. Here you can see that now I got the first row the cutoff and the second row the wave. All the steps are off and now they're on.
Right.
So
it's almost like wavetable.
Yeah,
it's like a wavetable. Right. So again, we can have 12 of those deep.
12 if you want.
Right.
Yeah, and you can control any parameter available. So actually, we think that basically the animator is a very powerful modulation source. We don't really need a third LFO on it.
So you could, reduce the number of steps if you want, just have a four-step
and
sequence.
you can use it like,
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Faster
and again, that presumably can be synced to incoming MIDI as
Absolutely.
well. And that
Absolutely.
sort of stuff.
If you want to select an external MIDI source as clock, you go to the settings page, MIDI, and you can put an external clock.
Right. Gotcha.
So here I got the patch that basically is showing all these features
All together?
Yeah, all together.
So the sequencer is triggering the animator when there's no on.
Yeah.
And the keyboard is triggering the arpeggiator.
And the animator as well.
Wow, okay, right, that's complex. That's great. Luca, thank you very much for showing us
It's good to be here again.
these extra features. So we're now just going to wrap things up with Paul. So Paul, great to see all these features being implemented now. I mean, how has it been?
It's been hectic and a bit stressful, but it's been worthwhile and we're all thoroughly enjoying it.
So there's more patches to come from other designers as well?
Yeah, we've got some other people working on some more sounds, so as and when they become available, we'll make them available to customers.
So as you say, all of these incremental OS updates can be sort of fed into the machines kind of real time pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, basically, at the moment, we're updating the OS about once a week. And so each week we ask users, we've got Luca will just send an email out saying, please can you go and update, and these are the features that are added and these are the bugs that are fixed.
So now we're where we are, what's next?
Well, the next thing for us is for the output board for the Modulus 002, which gives us digital USB audio in and out and USB MIDI in and out as well, and a couple of effects.
All right, okay, and what, it's going to be chorus, reverb, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, the usual standard bread and butter effects.
Okay, so once you're kind of here now, I mean, presumably because there's so much software control and things that you can do,
Yep.
do you have to rein yourself in from coming up with all sorts of new features?
Yeah, we're constantly having to rein ourselves in going, oh, I know, we could just do... But yeah, so what we're focusing on at the moment is getting all the basic features implemented and out there. Then when we come to that and we've done that bit, we'll be looking to users to say, what extras would you like? We've thought about this, what do you think? And getting some feedback from our users to see which features they would like implemented next.
Right, okay. So, well, we saw you in the summer, we've seen you now. Are we going to see you over in California at NAMM?
Yep, we should be at NAMM, yep.
Great, okay, we'll look forward to it. Thanks for coming in.
See you soon.
See you later.
Cheers.